Good morning, everybody. As the presenter said, my name is Abhi. She got my second name right, and that's not very easy in Asian culture. So great job. That's made my day to get my second name right. I'm going to spend the next 15-20 minutes speaking about something different to what you would see through the entire day. And let's talk about data security, right? Data continues to remain at risk across. As you see the amount of work that all of you are doing in terms of digital transformation, there is so much of data being pumped in on-premise, in cloud, across the board. But every data that you create, there is an attacker waiting to get into that data. Right? For every type of solution that you use to protect the data, there is an attacker trying to create a way to go in. Right? We continue to see this across the board where customers are creating tons of data in order to further advance their digital transformation initiatives. And as data continues to increase, data regulations continue to increase. Globally, GDPR, CCPA, HIPAA, etc. Locally, the Data Protection Act in Philippines, these are data protection guidelines that continue to get tighter and tighter around what you can do with sensitive data, how do you need to manage sensitive data, etc. And as attackers find the value of the data increasing, they find different ways to monetize the attack. How many of you are aware that there is a service called Cyber Criminals as a Service, CAAS, right? We've all heard of SaaS, Software as a Service. Today, Cyber Criminals as a Service exists. It's a $60 billion market, growing faster than all our vendors presenting here. That's the fastest growing market in the world because data is exploding. The value of data is increasing. Data is your new currency. I was speaking to one of the CIOs in Philippines yesterday, and he very nicely put this. He said, data is your new currency. Data is your new oil. Right? So imagine an attacker getting a hand on that new oil, new currency. They would want to spend more. They would want to extort more from you, right? It is said that a ransomware attack will strike within 2 seconds, every 2 seconds in the next 10 years. Now, this is not unimaginable. Think of this. We did a survey of around 5,000 organizations across the world, and we realized that in 2022, an average large-sized enterprise organization had 52 attacks, some form of attacks, not necessarily the ones that translated into an event, but an attempt. That's one attack every week, a large enterprise organization. So it's not unimaginable that a ransomware attack would be there every 2 seconds in the next 10 years. People believe ransomware attack is all about paying the ransom. Clearly, CISOs in the room know it's not. Paying the ransom is in the end. RUBRIK conducted a study around 1,600 customers across the world to really realize 72% of organizations, external organizations who were attacked paid the ransom. Of which 16%, think of this, 16% only got the data after paying the ransom. 46%, less than half, got partial data. So it is not just about being hit, it is about how do you recover? How do you get back to your normal situation? Paying ransom is clearly not the solution, right? Ransomware attacks and other cyber attacks have found a new way to get into your system, and that is by deleting your data backups, right? Data backups used to be this really archaic, move the data fast, store the data cheap systems. 30 years ago, we had what I call low frequency, high impact events. Think of those: floods, natural disasters, human errors, right? Backup systems were created in those era. What did they do? They moved the data fast across the network because networks were really slow. They stored the data cheap using amazing dedupe techniques and 1:100 dedupe techniques for some vendors. Why? Because storage was costly. My phone is a terabyte today and it's $600. Data is cheap. LAN networks are 40 gigs. You don't need to move the data fast because the LAN networks are fast. So what's the problem of today? Today we don't have low impact, low frequency, high impact event. We have high frequency, high impact events, ransomware events every 6 seconds. So the legacy backup systems and legacy data recovery systems are not able to meet the demands of today's cyber events. And who remembered this? The attackers, the 60 billion industry remembered this. So every ransomware attack, we realized that 93% of the ransomware attacks that happened in the last year went after backups, went after destroying the backups, encrypting the backups so that you cannot restore. That's the way they can extort money from you. And unfortunately, 73% of these efforts were successful. And this is the data point based on which our company was founded, RUBRIK. The primary reason why we found this company in 2015 was to protect the world's data and make sure that you have a peaceful night's sleep when it comes to attackers getting into your system. So how do we talk about this, right? We assume as a company, we assume breach. That's where we start. We assume that you're already breached. We assume no prevention tools that you are going to invest in and the millions of dollars that you are going to put in cybersecurity is not good enough. There is that one attacker who has already breached and already in your network, already in your data. Now the question is, what can he or she do, right? So RUBRIK created the platform to say that every security investments that you made, while they are really good investment and they are really important investments and they continue to be important, we take an assume breach security posture. We are basically asking questions saying, can your backup be compromised? Do you have backup software writing to a storage system using open protocol? Right? Because these systems were made 30 years ago. Cyber events did not exist then. So you assumed everything inside the firewall was protected, which is not the case today. Can somebody exfiltrate your data? Can somebody come and say, okay, you're attacked, what is your clean recovery point? Which is the point on which you can recover back? Or will I be attacked if I recover back? Right? These are the questions that we try to answer. Right? How do we answer these questions? By going after backup. By getting the data from the backup, by making sure that we take the data backup and then we put our cyber resiliency on top of it so that you're not investing money to backup, you're investing backup plus plus. Right? I was talking to somebody yesterday about, is prevention enough? You build a house near the highway. You create windows and doors. You've got $1 million worth diamond in your house. Just because you put windows and doors, you don't put that in your dining room, right? What do you do with your $1 million diamond that you have at home? You create a little safe deposit box with a key, probably a key for you and your wife. And then you put your $1 million diamond inside the safe deposit box. So think of all the prevention investments as windows and doors. They're important. They continue to be important. But assume they will be penetrated. Assume they will be breached. What would you do? You want the safe deposit box. You want your crown jewels to be protected in a place where you can recover back. And that's RUBRIK. That's the reason why we created our company. What we also did was, we looked at the traditional data protection systems and we said, in today's world, how can we convert traditional backup systems into cyber recovery systems, right? What do we need to do? What are the questions we wanted to answer? We wanted to answer questions like, when an event happens, what do you want to recover? What data is attacked? whether the attacker got hold of your sensitive information or is just bluffing. Right? These are the questions you want to answer. The other question that you want to answer is, when you restore it back, am I restoring with malware or am I restoring clean data so that I don't get double extorted, right? You are all in board of director meetings and executive meetings. You get asked this question now everywhere from your risk, compliance, governance, all boards, saying, are we good? If an attack happens tomorrow, are we good? You get asked this question every time. Can you prove it if you're good? If an attacker comes in tomorrow morning, how long will it take? These are questions that gets asked today. We created our solution to be able to answer these questions clearly, crisply, so that you don't have to go around finding a way to answer these questions. How do we do that? Typically, we do that by providing an immutable backup with air gap solution without having to have 3 copies, without having to take your copy across in a Iron Mountain data center, by combining the backup software and storage into one. So we don't have an open protocol backup software writing to a storage system in our solution. We have created a new architecture, a new file system, a new platform with zero trust, immutable air gap, logical air gap solution. And we protected against all kinds of attack forms like there's no way to talk to the platform. It cannot be mounted like a file system. You will not be able to see it. Right? Also, we made sure that there is a retention lock. A lot of time ransomware attackers went and changed your NTP and expired your backup. They did not access the backup, they just went to NTP and expired your backup. You had no backup because it got expired. You can't do that, right? You have to prevent some of those, right? So basically what we did is we created a platform with built-in data resilience, which means like I said, it's air gap, immutable with retention lock backups. But we also created an observability capability there so that you can continuously observe identities of compromise, IOCs, as we do incremental backup. Every day you do 5, 7, 10, depending upon your size, you keep taking snapshots of incremental backups. We keep looking for known IOCs. We have a file system that enables you to run large big data search in fast time. So you could do that every time. Then we also found a way through our data remediation system to be able to surgically recover the applications, database, everything, the files that you have. How do we do that? By clearly understanding which part of your data was infected, and then surgically being able to bring the part that is not infected back. These are some of the questions and the answers that you need when you get hit by an attack. RUBRIK was founded in 2015 by three people in Palo Alto. Today, RUBRIK is across 150 countries. We've got 5,000 customers. We've got close to 50 customers in Philippines using RUBRIK. We recently announced, I don't know whether you've heard the news, day before yesterday, we recently announced acquisition of a new company called Laminar in the data posture management system. So we are now moving ahead of resiliency to be able to understand what is your data posture, to understand where does your sensitive data live. One was about when an event happens, how do you recover? The other one is about slightly giving you some more details about where your data lives and how your data is accessed and who is accessing it and are there risks in it, right? So that we can recover faster. Yesterday morning, and I was wanting to put the slide in, but we couldn't. Yesterday morning, Gartner Magic Quadrant for Enterprise Backup and Data Recovery got released. We continue to lead that Magic Quadrant. We are #1 in the Magic Quadrant. For the last 4 years, we have been leading. And the reason why we are leading is, again, our ability to clearly articulate the answers to the questions that I posed. I wanted to end by this. We believe ransomware recovery is a shared responsibility. We believe this is not on you or on us. If I am standing here in front of you and saying that we will enable you to recover from ransomware attack, I need to take some responsibility. So US government introduced this concept of vendors need to have shared responsibility after Colonial Pipe attack. Right? We were the first ones to stand up and say we are ready to take the shared responsibility. So RUBRIK introduced what we call a $10 million ransomware guarantee. What does that mean? If you are a RUBRIK enterprise customer and you deploy RUBRIK in the way it is supposed to be deployed and you get attacked, our global ransomware recovery team becomes your 911. Right? You call the global ransomware recovery team, they will engage, they will help you recover 100% of your data. That's our guarantee, that's our commitment. We have 5,000 plus customers over the last 3 years, hundreds and thousands of ransomware attacks across the world, and we have recovered every one of them with not a single dollar paid till now. Right? We believe ransomware recovery, if we are committing something on the table, it's a shared responsibility. So we are taking the responsibility on ourselves to put something on the table. This is not to say that this is not about the money, as you can clearly imagine. A lot of you are big enterprises where $10 million doesn't mean anything in terms of the loss of reputation, in terms of the loss of data. But what it means is that you've got a vendor who stands shoulder to shoulder with you and work with you to recover your data if something untoward were to happen. That was a quick introduction about RUBRIK. My team is here. We've got an office in Philippines. We've got a set of people here. Like I said, we've got 50 plus customers here. We'll be happy to engage with you to understand how we can help you in your cyber resilience journey, how we can help you make sure that you at least don't have to worry about how will you recover your data if any of your prevention systems fails. Trust me, irrespective of whatever investments that you make in the prevention, there is going to be that one bad actor, there's going to be that one insider threat that is going to get in. And that's when you need at least the confidence of being able to recover the data that you have and not exfiltrate and not have a double extortion risk. Thank you so much for having me here. Enjoyed the time here and hopefully looking forward to speaking to you in the future. Thank you.